so they just need to be sensitized and be told that they are just normal people. They have a heart. Also, we also think that in Kenya, the education system should also focus on adult education in every community, not only in, most of them they just do it in Nairobi because it's the capital city, so maybe the international organizations come to Nairobi and then they give the teaching programs or the adult education to the people in Nairobi and forget about the rest of the country. And then teacher recruitment also affects the education system. It's based on tribalism most of the time. And then seniority, this one I can actually explain. If somebody graduated in 1990, regardless of whether they have been studying or not, and another one graduated in 2001, and then I graduated in 2011, they will not look at my papers or the one who graduated in 2001 papers. They will look at the 1990s papers, the person who graduated at that time. That time, maybe most of the time, those people have not been teaching. Maybe they have been somewhere doing some funny things, and then they realize, oh, I have a degree in teaching, let me go and look for the job, and then they get it. But that is how it happens. For example, like now, when I go to Kenya, I can never be employed by the government because actually they say that you are too young and inexperienced, so they don't employ me. They only employ privately, but maybe government, the school employs you and not the government. Also, academic credentials are bypassed. I explained that before, but I also want to give a last experience of mine. It was a first term, so the first trimester of the year in July. In 2011, last year. I was working in a school. It was of a different tribe. I was born in the land of a different tribe, not mine. So I have nowhere to go. I just have to stay there because it's actually developed a little bit. So after finishing, I actually looked for a job and got it. Then when we were going back for we had a break, so we had to go back to school. When I went to the staff room, I found somebody sitting on my desk. Okay, I say maybe it's somebody who is visiting someone else. Then I sat somewhere else at a different place, and then when I went when the classes started, now we have a little, maybe it's the morning hour, just before people go to class, and she's sitting on my seat, I don't know who she is. And then I'm supposed to go teaching. Then when I went into the class I was supposed to teach, I find the same person teaching, and then I wonder, okay, what is happening here? And then I go back to the office and then I ask the principal, I've just found somebody teaching, is there something you're not telling me? Oh, sorry, we cannot afford to pay you anymore. But then, okay, fine. Couldn't you do it a little bit more decently? But then I remember, I am a Luo, and these people, they are from this tribe, so okay, fine. Let me just carry my books and go away. So that's what's happened. And I'm not the only one it happened to. So, I think that's it. So, while you think about this, I don't know what we have about 10 minutes. Okay. So maybe you can think about questions. Any questions that you have about it?
I'm just wondering, how big are the classes? How many students?
The students in the public school, you can find, the least number is 40 students. The highest you can get 63 or something like that. It's actually a huge number. Yes?
Maybe a little bit philosophic, but we talk a lot about, I think in this education, that for maintaining a sustainable society, you need to deliver all your national traditions and values to the next generation, and that is one of the reasons for educating people. When you have, in Denmark, it is for us somehow quite easy to deliver those traditions and values, but when you have this mix-up of Kenyan tradition and those who came with the British
I said at the beginning, most of the learning in the olden days was done by the families, okay? So if you have a particular tradition, it's the families who are responsible to do it. And the one that I said about Kenya National Music Festivals, it's only the traditions can be learned through the songs and the dances, right? So actually, I can just tell you, my grandmother, she passed away in 1997. She was giving us stories and traditions, how someone should behave, how, sorry, let me just forget about this one because it keeps falling. How somebody should behave, and how the Luos, I'm a Luo, so how the Luos are, what are the norms, what is this and this. So it's the grandmother who was teaching, but now that she died, nobody is doing it any longer. So I don't know where we can learn it now. There's a real conflict. Like I say that, maybe I'll find a way by the end of my studies to bridge that one. So I'll just write it down. Thank you. Any more questions? Yes?
You said the family moved depending on where the school was going.
In nomadism. In nomadic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if there's two children going in different schools and the schools are moving in different directions? Is there any diversity between boys and girls? Which is the priority?
At this, during this, in this century, right? Let me just call it, in this century, the families stick together. There's no more division of, there's no more gender-based learning. So it's just it's just a normal modern school. But then when there is green pastures somewhere, they move. If there is no school there, then they don't go to school. But there are mobile schools now, so that's combating it. But if they move to somewhere else, I don't know.
So what happens to kids, for example, they move and they stop schooling and then they want to come back? How does that go? Do they have to take a test to see which level they come in, or do they go back to the same level that they left?
Just go back to the same level. Yeah. Yes.
What happens if you don't pass an exam?
You repeat the class. For example, mostly in the class 8. That's why I said the average age is from 9 to 16, because if you don't pass class 8, you go either to class 7 or you stay in class 8. So you can stay in class 8 forever, and then when you give up, you just drop out. Yes?
I was thinking, you said there was a quite high number of private universities compared to public universities. Do you have any idea how that can be?
Okay. Most of the private universities are started by people who want to make business. It's like a business. So, and the public universities are mostly funded by the government. And the parallel students, because they pay 3 times higher than the people who have been called, let me say called, they have been admitted, admitted because we say called in Swahili. They have been admitted to the university by the Higher Education Loans Board. So it's quite, the public schools are few because most of the people who are not called to admitted to public schools go to the private schools. So that's why it's a huge number, because not many people get the opportunity.
So you have been a teacher.
Yes.
And have you had is there a teacher education in Kenya, or are you just allowed to teach when you have a university education?
There is a teacher education program.
Okay.
It's called TTC. It's called Teacher Training College. If you go to a teacher training college, if one goes to a teacher training college, they can teach primary schools. But if one wants to be a secondary school teacher, you have to get a bachelor's degree in education. So the bachelor's degree in education focuses on that.
Okay.
But before the bachelor's degree was introduced, people could go and get a higher diploma in education so that they can teach the secondary schools. And then long before, there was something called UT. Okay, fine, let me think. U and then T. It's called untrained teacher. They were getting less salary than the trained teachers. So if one feels, oh, I feel like teaching, so you just go to the government here. And what skills do you have? I can talk to people. I can just convince them to understand something, and then you get the job. So I think I've been taught by a UT, but you know, they get so used to it that they look like normal teachers, but they are not.
Yeah.
But it stopped because it's, I don't know who abolished it, but it's no longer there. Yes?
How big is the influence of the church in teaching? And are they funded through universities or?
I can say a couple of things. First of all, there are private universities which belong to a particular church. The church is really influential in the Kenyan education system because most of the high school, the private schools, they are in not the private, most of the public schools are sponsored by churches. So for example, every day in the evening, if this school belongs to like a Catholic church, you have to go and say Holy Mary, all those funny things, you have to say all of it, then go back. So you have to be, for them to, I don't think they fund, they just have the title.